Channel 10 have taken a firm stance on the January 26 Australia Day debate. 10's Chief Content Officer, Beverly McGarvey, told all staff that the phrase Australia Day would be boycotted as it is not a day of celebration. And joining me live is host of the media show, Jack Houghton. Good to see you, Jack. So, first of all, what are Network 10 doing here? What is their stance?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. The Australian broke the story. Nick Tabakoff, great journalist. This Chief Content Officer, Beverly McGarvey, she sent out an all-staff email saying, we don't think that this is a date you should celebrate. We're not going to call it Australia Day. And even more, if you don't want to take that as a public holiday, we will allow you to take it some other time. You can celebrate on a less offensive day. And it's rather extraordinary. I've never heard of a media organisation taking such a strong social stance on quite a divisive issue.
This puts staff in a precarious situation, doesn't it? Because if they choose to take the day off on Australia Day, that signals that they may not have the same views as the company. Would you agree?
Well, exactly. I mean, they've clearly outlined their corporate position, right? And their corporate position, I would argue, is quite a fringe viewpoint. I think most mainstream Australians, whether it is on the 26th or not, it is formally, Australia Day is on the 26th. A lot of people love this country and they want to celebrate. So they've taken this fairly fringe viewpoint and formalised it from a corporate point of view. And now if you're a staff member and you want to celebrate, you don't want to go into work and you want to use your right to take your public holiday, all of your colleagues are going to know what your political views are, your personal views on this issue is. And that's quite an imposition to put on your staff members.
Yeah, absolutely. And also this is an internal matter within Network 10 for now, but should we be on the lookout for an editorial stance on this?
Well, exactly. If you're a staff member, you're a journalist and you're trying to objectively report on something, if you know that there is this very strong corporate stance taken, is that going to bleed into the editorial coverage? We don't know that it will, but I think we could say, pretty confidently that it will have some kind of effect. But I mean, the bigger issue with this is the Chief Content Officer of an organisation which has been plagued by poor ratings. The project is in tatters. I think Waleed Ali is pretty much the last person standing after all these high-profile exodus. And you've got their morning bulletin has just been axed. It set a record in July for having just 44 people watching it. This is an organisation which should be focusing on the content. I think it's a lesson for all organisations. Australians do not want to be lectured to about things that are personal, such as celebrating a day, particularly by a media organisation. It's our job, when you get people on here, say if Labor wanted to change the date, you would get people from all different sides of the debate on. And that's why I love working for a company like Sky, because we want to have that debate and curate the debate. That's very different from an organisation just shoving this fringe viewpoint down your throat and telling your journalists and your staff and your camera operators what to think about something which is quite complex. And I think that's the problem when you're looking at this. The rationale given for this decision, it was lacking intellectualism. It wasn't really going into the issues. It was just, let's build a safe place. Whatever that means, it's not really the responsible way to have that conversation. It's not the place of the media executives to have that conversation.
A lot of probably their thoughts are coming from Melbourne, and the project is based from Melbourne. In September, there was a survey that was conducted by the City of Melbourne. More than 1,600 residents found that near 60% want to see Australia Day changed to a different date. And I guess there is some merit in that because as a proud Australian, you miss the days of being wanting to celebrate being being an Australian on a particular day without offending anyone. I think everyone would want that once again.
And you're probably like me that I don't really care what the date is personally from a historical point of view. But that's the day. Like, if you want to have the conversation about changing it, sure, but just to pretend it doesn't exist and to take away your right to celebrate what is so great about this country and everything we've achieved. I think if you were to make historical comparisons to where we are today than even a decade ago, I think anyone across any political delineation would agree that we have made significant progress in this country. Isn't that something to celebrate?
Always great to chat. Thanks, Jack Houghton. Thanks for
having me.